Quark tastes some of Morn's raw slug liver. Keiko's favorite chocolates are Tellurian mint truffles, and Rom has puree of beetle every morning until today. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today, that was all food trivioids, by the way. Today, we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 5, The Assignment, story by David R. Long and Robert Lederman, teleplay by David Weddle and Bradley Thompson, directed by Alan Croker. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. How you doing, Cirroc?
Doing good. These names, when I saw them in the opening credits, I was saying to myself, well, I recognize the David Weddle, Bradley Thompson, I think from the episode prior to this. Was it just before this episode or a couple episodes before this one?
I had to look them up, and I know because I was like, I recognize those names. Apparently, they are story editors on like 40 of the episodes. So every once in a while, they also get like a story by or written by, but they had 40 episodes where they were a story editor or executive story editor, kind of flip-flopping.
Or doing the teleplay. This one, they have teleplay, which I guess is
script, yeah.
Scripting it. So, but yeah, I recognize those names. Don't know the face on the names, not like our usual staff writers and the producers on our show, but I noticed that their name came back up, and then the David Long and Robert Lederman, another set of names where I was like trying to think if I had heard them before or recognized them. And even the director, Alan Croker, unless I'm missing something, and I got to look him up right now because another name that just didn't ring to a memory, But I know I'm in this episode, so I must have worked with him.
Well, I'll tell you, with Bradley Thompson, David Weddle, apparently they're partners, like writing partners or something, because I did look them up, and they have like the same credits, meaning they're always working together. Most notably on Battlestar Galactica's reboot from 2004 to 2008, and more recently, Falling Skies with our good friend Mr. Doug Jones in there. The Strain, I think Doug Jones is in that too, actually. And For All Mankind, which is the new Apple series. I believe it's on Apple. That's really big time. Ronald D. Moore, I believe, does that one. Is it Ronald D. Moore? Let me check just to be 100% sure. But I believe it. Yeah, Ronald D. Moore. So
okay, now I'm looking at Alan's picture, and I do remember working with him. If you look him up, he is actually a Canadian-born. Really chill guy. That's what I remember about him, how laid back and chill he was. He was like a smooth guy, one of those most interesting man in the world type of people that you're not
nice.
You're not really sure about, how crazy a lifestyle he might have lived. Really cool guy. I had good memories of working with Alan. So let me take that back. I do remember him now that I see his face, and he was a cool guy.
And looking at him up, he's done 39 Star Trek episodes directing, 13 Deep Space Nine, 13 Voyager, and 13 Enterprise. So living it up, this guy.
Oh, wow. Sure. 13 is his number, huh?
It must be.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, I remember him, because he did, obviously, like you said, 13 episodes. He was there quite frequently and got along well with the cast and crew, obviously, because they keep bringing him back. I can see here it says that he also did What You Leave Behind. So that's another Tears of the Prophet. So yes.
Nice. So that all being said, is this the first and only Keiko-centric episode we've seen? I believe it is.
Yeah. This is the only one that I can remember.
Right.
And I wanted to say that I'm glad that she got a chance to showcase her ability, because normally she's very brief. She's either on her way somewhere or just coming back from somewhere, and she gets like a scene or two really quickly. usually sometimes with Molly, so she doesn't even get the chance to do her own individual stuff. She's like more in the motherly capacity. But in this one, she actually gets some more identity to, I mean, more room to do her acting and showcase her skills.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. Actually, we might as well. But I was actually very impressed with her acting, not because we would ever think that she couldn't pull off whatever she needs to in any kind of script, but because this was a very different kind of character. So I was interested, and I remembered being impressed with her way back in the day, because it's a completely different character that she played. And you know, we've said this before, you know, even great actors, it's still always a gamble if you write something completely different for them, because we're assuming that they can also portray this kind of character. They didn't audition for this kind of character. They auditioned for this. So it's always kind of a gamble, and they always seem to knock it out of the park. And Rosalind Chow, shout out to her, because she pulled it off. She played Sinister very well. I thought I was very pleased with how sinister and how calm and collected and sociopathic in a way that she played. It was very convincing.
Yeah. What was the name of that? Was it The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, or one of those movies that was about a sinister woman that was getting close to this man that was not her husband? And it was, I forgot I think it was Sharon Stone, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of her movies, but either way, she had this very real clever way of subtly performing this in a way that I thought was totally believable. She was still herself, but she was just off enough where you would believe that she has this kind of entity or whatever it is inside of her, making these things. At first, I was thinking what O'Brien was thinking, which is, oh, okay, we're playing that game. You know?
I know. That was so good. That was so good. Where she's like, "I'm not Keiko." He's like, "Ooh, who are you?"
Ooh, yeah, yeah. And I loved it. I was like, oh, that's it. And then it caused a side thought of mine, like, oh, that's a really cool game to play. You know, like to pretend to pretend this kind of thing is happening to you.
Yeah.
So I actually had to pause it and just digest that level of fantasy that can be had between two people in a relationship.
Yeah.
I thought that was
so funny.
clever.
Where he's like, "Oh, cool. All right. Who am I dealing with today?
Oh, yeah. Are you under arrest or something? Do I have to get out in handcuffs?" You know. So I liked the way they started with that. And then I was almost still thinking she was playing, right? Up until even when she started doing the violent shakes and fell to the floor.
Oh, really? You still thought that was all part of it?
Even I was still on the hook. And I was still like, oh wow, you're really
committed.
You're really committed to this. So I thought she was going to wake up and say, "Got you," or one of those type of like, moves. But when she had the bloody nose is when I realized, it was the bloody nose. And I think that was something they may have added for effect because of that same hesitation that I had, which is this a joke or is this serious? Because how else can you prove it, right? Prove that somebody else is inside of you telling you what to say and do. You just sound like you're having a bad attitude, and you might want to leave me. You found some guy when you were out doing your last trip, and this is your way of expressing it. That would be the first instinct in the relationship, right? Thinking, hey, maybe something's going on. Are you cheating on me or something? Or is there something you're not telling me? Maybe you're terminally ill, and this is how you would lash out or mask some other kind of thing, secret. So it would be hard to buy it right away unless you had that nosebleed scene, which is very well placed, in my opinion, to just erase the doubt. Okay, she has physical evidence of the trauma.
Right, that's a good point. And also, speaking of physical evidence, we forgot to mention what a cool shirt you're wearing today, Cirroc. Check it out, everybody.
Oh yeah.
It looks like it could be superhero, could be Wolverine. It's some Abyssinian kiosk, right? Whew.
Yeah, it is. It actually reminds me of Flash Gordon. You remember the Flash
absolutely.
character? Kind of has that Flash look to it. Certainly
super
some
sharp
Marvel.
So everybody at home right now, they're yelling because they're like, "Isn't that DC, the Flash?" But Flash Gordon, I don't know what he was. He wasn't DC or Marvel.
Yeah, it might be. It might have been DC. Flash was DC. Yeah.
But everybody at home, get yourself this awesome shirt. Cirroc's sister creates these on her website, Abyssinian Kiosk. You can find the link in the description box below. All kinds of really cool stuff. Cirroc and I are wearing her shirts all the time because they're pretty badass. So definitely check that out. Description box below. And we also want to let's give a shout out, shall we? We haven't done a shout out in a while. Our good buddy, Mr. Homer Frizzell, has been with us since day one. And we've got a lot of really cool people that have been with us since the very beginning. Homer, I think he was from like day -1, right? I mean, he's been around since the very beginning. We love the guy.
And and one of the coolest guys you could ever meet. I mean, what a class act and a great representation for what we're doing here on the show. And I love the time that we've spent together, the conversations that we've had. And he's just such a classy guy and really amazing man. So yeah, shout out to Homer Frizzell.
First thing we noticed when we met him, we said, "Oh, this guy sounds like a baseball player from the 20s, right?"
Right.
The 1920s. I guess we're in the 20s again, but you know.
We're back in the 20s.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got one of those names, but he's also got one of those personalities that's just charming and lovable and the kind of person you want to hang around and, you know, have more conversations with. So actually looking forward to seeing our Seventh Rule family in person when we start meeting back up at conventions and seeing each other in person, because I think we have such a good family and just a strong connection. For me, you guys have been an extended family for me, and it's meant a lot to me to have these kinds of conversations and this dialogue with you guys over the years. So
can you believe it's been almost 2
years? Yeah.
And we are going to go nuts at Star Trek Las Vegas, right? And we hope to see a lot of you guys there because it's going to be awesome.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Just a couple months, but we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right.
How cute was Molly in this episode? She's like, "You are in trouble."
Yeah, I'm not going to tell her.
Not me. Don't put this on me.
Yeah, her acting chops, they're definitely giving her more. They also gave her, I think, the first lines of this level to where she was talking, you know, when Keiko called him at work, and that was a really creepy scene. And she was talking, she was just like, "Oh yeah, mommy says it. Ow, mommy, not so hard. That hurts." I was like, wow, that's an added layer to the acting. It's not just saying and delivering the lines, but then also, you know, making up some kind of reaction and talking to mom. I was like, another little notch up for our good friend Hana Hate as a child.
Yeah, another notch up. She got more responsibility. And you know what? It's funny because we just came off of the episode before this, Northern Battle to the Strong, where they decided to take the chance and extend a storyline on Jake and take a chance with these other guest stars they brought in and really go in a small offshoot of building the Deep Space Nine storyline. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. But right on the heels of that, they again extend and find another character like Keiko to expand on and bring another storyline that's an offshoot of the main overall storyline that's happening. So kudos to the writers for making sure that they develop these kinds of characters and really make us feel the bond and family of what it's like growing up on the space station or being on the space station together and dealing with these kinds of personal issues and extending out and building relationships between Jake and Bashir, or taking Keiko's character and expanding on it and making sure that they do their diligence to make her a part of what's happening here on the show. So I think that's really indicative of good writing, because it brings a level of fullness and completion to a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And also it means that they have a lot of faith in the actors that are on this show. It means that they have faith in myself and what I was doing. They have faith in Rosalind Chow, who delivered it to me tremendously. Also, Colin Meaney did an exceptional job in this episode with some of the facial expressions he was making, trying to withhold the secret that he was having, you know, having been compromised. So, and also Max Kredenchik, who I thought was really good at playing this dumb, smart person. And I think that's one of the things he doesn't get enough credit for. He's always perceived to be dumb, you know, and he plays dumb, but he's really very smart.
Right.
And that dumb persona that he kind of gives off is a way for, you know, it's kind of a disarming thing. It's a smart thing for him to do, because he's able to gauge where he wants to respond and how he wants to respond. So I think he's showed himself to also have layers in his performance and his understanding of Rom and what Rom's bringing to the table. So all around, I was intrigued by this episode. And I want to say to Rosalind Chow, who is one of a handful of Asian actresses that I can think of, especially during that time in the 90s.
She's working
even
a lot now, yeah.
Yeah. And even now, fast forward, 20, 30 years later, it's still not that many as there should be, compared to how many are in society, right? So she has been a groundbreaking woman in that respect for all of these years, and she should have her props for that, because I think she has done a tremendous job of keeping it classy and delivering high quality performances.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it's a testament to her that, 25 years later, she's still working. She's working, on big movies, big shows. She's still actively working and keeping super busy. She's out right now in Atlanta shooting. So she's in high demand, and it's well deserved, obviously. And to your other point, everybody, I think most people agree that that's what Deep Space Nine did better than any other show, was to expand that universe, to find great actors and great characters outside of the main 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, and to really build that universe much, much bigger and much more broadly. And yeah, Keiko, getting her first real major, episode is proof of that. Even Molly is expanding her lines and her role, and like you said, Rom is expanding his. It's just really cool all around to see the universe expanding, the world of Deep Space Nine expanding in this yet again an O'Brien must suffer episode, right?
Yeah, O'Brien suffers in this one, which is he's fantastic at. So it's like it's natural for him to be, the grumpy Smurf. But but I just I like the way this episode was. They kept the intrigue for me in this episode. I believe one of the things that was really successful from a writing standpoint was withholding what Keiko was trying to do for so long, because that kept me intrigued as well. That was directly tied to who she is and what her purpose was. And by withholding that, I thought that's great, because I'm thinking, what is she, maybe it's a harmless thing that she's getting him to do. Maybe she just wants this entity wants to just send a message across the universe to one of its ancestors. I don't know, but maybe it's harmless, or maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it doesn't have severe consequences. But as they start to reveal what the outcome was, then it started to slowly unravel what the story was truly about. So I thought that was a good idea as well, because I was constantly on the edge of the episode, like what's when he completed the task and she said that was just a test to make sure he trust you. And then I was like, oh, this is really about to go somewhere. This is a whole nother level to this, and I like that.
Yeah, I also really liked it when there was a lot of subtext in this, of course. And one of the scenes was when, you as Jake say, oh man, I really would love to meet a Pah-Wraith someday. And she goes, oh, you never know. You may just get your chance, which was great, for the audience, because we know that you're talking to one right now.
Right. And the moment when O'Brien is really considering talking to Sisko about, like he's looking for Sisko. Where's Captain Sisko? And we know as the audience that he's about to confide in Sisko and kind of see if he can help him solve this difficult problem that he's trying to figure out on his own. I like that moment because it actually convinced me that there was a trust in Sisko to be able to figure out the way to solve this problem, right? O'Brien believed that Sisko would come to the rescue or be able to figure out this difficult problem. Mm-hmm. He had confidence in his captain to be able to help him in this issue, and I like the fact that he had that kind of a confidence in his captain, that he didn't just automatically say, I can do it on my own, but he actually thought, you know what, this is too much for me. I need to get help,
And that Keiko knew that he was going to do that. And she's like, oh, really? So you're going to go see your buddies, huh? Well, let's do something about that. Did that jump out? I mean, I did rewind it to check out the stunts of it to kind of see how they did the whole Keiko, falling over, and they just kind of did quick little cuts, and it wasn't until I rewound it and watched it a second time that I noticed that. So what that means is that they did it well to where my brain accepted it as Keiko's falling over the railing, when really all it was, if you looked at it when you're actually paying attention to it, she just kind of partially leans. Then it shows one quick clip of a body going like that, and then it shows her on the ground. Or it was very quick cuts. But as a filmmaker, you're always wondering, like, is this going to work? Like, we're not showing much. Will people fill in the blanks? And this one, we did fill in the blanks. At least for me, worked perfectly. It wasn't until I rewound it to check it again that I saw, it was just a couple quick little cuts, and that's it.
Yeah. See, I didn't go back and rewind it. I was sold on the fall. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I did kind of think to myself, okay, so the first half of the filming was on a mat where the double fell over and landed on a mat, and then they cut to her on the floor. Obviously, that's something they're going to do anytime. She's not going to really jump off of the rail. So that thought crossed my mind for a second. Okay, the person jumped off the rail and did a flip, because it was a kind of unusual fall where you do head first over, and you would kind of fall head first and then land on your back, like doing a flip. Yeah. And that's something that a stunt person is capable of doing. It's not a normal way to fall over the rail, exactly, right? If you're
falling over rails, so I don't.
Well, take it from me, a guy who's fell over plenty of rails. It's an awkward way to fall over a rail. But it just was a quick thought. It wasn't anything. I mean, I know that they have to patch that together to sell the audience. For me, more I was focused on watching her cynical kind of ways that she would cut in and out of scenes. For example, when they had the party scene, and she was able to go into, hey, sis, hey, Dax, hey, how are you? And then cut right into him, like, you know, you need to get to work and do this, right?
Yeah, get your ass
And it
back
was,
out there.
yeah, yeah. So I love the way she was able to go in and out of being believable as Keiko to also being believable as not Keiko. That to me was the beauty in her performance.
Well, let's take our quick break on that. When we get back to, I'd like to mention that there were 3 NAMs. I don't know if everybody knows where the NAMs are, but that's always fun for us. There was a little bit of our Trekkian nomenclature terms, or whatever we want to call it. There are a few of those. And we'll do the trivioids as soon as we get back on the other side.
And I have a nitpick too. So when we get on the other side, I'm gonna give you my nitpick.
Oh man, this is gonna be you guys. You guys are gonna be pissed that you have to wait for a half-second break right now. We'll be right back on the 7th rule.